Hi there friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan, and today we continue our coverage of the fourth year of the Clone Wars. So far things have not been going well for the Jedi Order. A disgruntled Jedi carries out a terrorist attack against the temple hangar, smearing the Order's reputation on Coruscant. Then a clone trooper randomly murders a Jedi general on the battlefield. In our last episode, we find out that Count Dooku, the leader of the Separatist Alliance, was behind the creation of the clone army. What the Jedi really need at this point is a break from all the craziness, which I don't think they'll get. In today's episode, Grand Master Yoda is visited by an old friend from the great beyond. Now, the story arc we're going to be covering today was one of the last ones in the sixth and final season of the Clone Wars back in 2014 when the Clone Wars was canceled. So it's a pretty special episode for me, at least. And I think it was a pretty strange episode. Like, the vibe is very different from the rest of the series. It's a little more cerebral. Maybe it's something more akin to what George Lucas had in mind for the new sequel trilogies. It talks a lot about, like, these deeper elements about the Force and how it interacts with all the living beings in the galaxy. It's very interesting. Now, we begin with Jedi Master Yoda quietly meditating in a room. He's thinking about the creation of the clone army and the new revelation that Master Sifo Dyas was murdered by Count Dooku, who then took over the cloning program. All of the signs seem to point towards the fact that the clone army is somehow compromised and a danger to the Jedi. And hundreds of Jedi are now deployed all across the galaxy on the front lines with these clones, all on Yoda's orders. So this is probably weighing on him very heavily. Now suddenly Yoda hears the voice of Qui-Gon Jinn, who's actually voiced by Liam Neeson in this series. Yoda is startled by this and even more confused when Qui-Gon Jinn starts lifting things in the room around him. The voice of Qui-Gon Jinn states that he has become a part of the living Force and has somehow maintained his consciousness even after death. Now, the Jedi Order around this time period had become increasingly closed-minded. The ancient Jedi had uncovered many secrets of the Force. Some of these abilities and knowledge were perhaps more dangerous than others, and after repeated breakouts of dark side contagion affecting the Jedi and turning individuals into the Sith, the Order kind of became more careful on what kind of information they allowed their members to get access to. Jedi prophecies, for instance, weren't banned, but generally the Jedi Council didn't like their members indulging too much into them, knowing the future can lead to fear and darkness. Sith holocrons and Sith teachings were more or less completely banned. Some Jedi Masters argue that if the Jedi didn't know anything about the Sith, then how could they prepare themselves when they actually encountered the dark side? This school of thought argued that the Jedi should be exposed to Sith teachings, of course under the supervision of an older Jedi Master who knows what they are doing, and that'll lead to better results in young Jedi resisting the dark side. A lot of knowledge was also lost in the repeated conflicts between the Jedi and the Sith, and this included the secret of immortality, which most likely would have been deemed too powerful and dangerous for the average Jedi to understand or learn about anyway. Master Yoda immediately believes that the voice of Qui-Gon Jinn is some kind of dark side manifestation or some kind of trick being played on him by the Sith. Yoda grows increasingly detached from his regular duties, and the other members of the Order begin to notice. At one point, Yoda even questions Anakin Skywalker about his experience on Mortis with the so-called Force Gods. Both Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi had seen Qui-Gon Jinn while on this mysterious planet. They both believed that the Force had created an illusion of their former mentor from their own memories. But Anakin does state that he's uncertain about the Jedi teachings regarding individuals being unable to retain their identity after death. A bit of foreshadowing for what's to come, perhaps. Now, at this point, Yoda realizes he needs to let the rest of the Jedi Council know about the voices he's hearing in his head. Ki-Adi-Mundi, using his Star-Chi knowledge of the Force, suggests that the Sith are somehow manipulating him. The Jedi decide that the problem is grave enough that all of the members spend an entire day meditating with Yoda, trying to figure out what exactly is going on with him. They unfortunately uncover nothing and end up putting Master Yoda under medical observation at the Temple Hospital. Master Yoda is then placed in an isolation tank. This allows him to have ultimate concentration so that he can once again try to connect with that voice of Qui-Gon Jinn. While in the tank, Yoda's vital signs come dangerously close to flatlining, but he's able to hear Qui-Gon Jinn once again. The voice tells him to journey to Dagobah. Yoda arrives on the swamp planet that we first saw in Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Dagobah is quite a special place and is extremely powerful in the Force. It's here that Qui-Gon Jinn's spirit has enough power to begin communicating with Yoda once again. He begins to explain to Yoda what has happened to him. You see, the Force is a confusing concept. The living Force is the energy that creates all life in the galaxy. This is the energy that the Jedi use to interact with the world around them using their powers. The living Force feeds into the cosmic Force, which sort of binds the entire galaxy together. It's sort of this gigantic energy field that is also somehow sentient. The cosmic force transcends the normal boundaries of space and time, and it's through this cosmic force that midichlorians are able to communicate the will of the cosmic force to force users. Some people believe that the cosmic force is almost this higher power kind of entity that guides individuals towards their own destiny, meaning that every action that happens in the galaxy has some purpose, and most likely the cosmic force is behind it. That is, of course, just one set of beliefs. Not everyone believes this. Now, before Qui-Gon Jinn died, he was offered a seat on the High Jedi Council. At the time, he had many contentious debates and arguments with the other Jedi Masters on how the Jedi Temple should be viewing the Force. Qui-Gon Jinn believed that the Jedi Temple's teachings had become too conservative and restrictive, and while, Yoda and the other Jedi Masters disagreed with them, they saw some benefit in bringing someone like Qui-Gon Jinn into the fold so that, he can give them a different perspective on how to go about the day-to-day operations of running the Jedi Order. But when they offered him the seat, Qui-Gon Jinn refused. He had already begun pursuing knowledge about how to become immortal. His training, unfortunately, was cut short when he died, which is why Qui-Gon Jinn has problems appearing physically, unlike the other Jedi ghosts. Yoda begins asking Qui-Gon Jinn all sorts of questions, like who is the Sith Lord that is attacking the Jedi in the Republic, but Qui-Gon Jinn can only tell Yoda where he can find answers and leads him to the same Force cave that Yoda would lead young Luke Skywalker to many years later. Yoda is visited by terrible visions of the Jedi being destroyed by the Sith. He sees his friends get killed by Sidious, Mace Windu electrocuted by Sith lightning, and Shaak Ti getting stabbed while meditating. This is actually referring to a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith where Anakin basically kills Shaak Ti during Operation Nightfall. Qui-Gon Jinn tells Yoda that with each day the Clone Wars passes, the galaxy becomes darker. But there is hope. Although there are many future potential paths to take, the Cosmic Force has chosen Yoda to become one with the Force so that he can evade death. Qui-Gon Jinn then guides Yoda to another planet, which lies inside of a golden nebula. This apparently is where all life is created and where the midichlorians are made. There's a massive amount of energy emanating from the surface of this planet, and as Yoda attempts to land his ship, it malfunctions, and the Force literally guides him to the ground. There he meets one of the 5 Force priestesses, Serenity. The Force priestesses are sort of these guardians who live on this planet known as the Wellspring of Life. These beings are shapeshifters and incredibly powerful in the Force. They might already be one with the living Force, just like Qui-Gon Jinn is. Each 5 of these Force priestesses represent an emotion. Along with Serenity, there is joy, anger, confusion, and sadness. They want to give Yoda a series of tests to see if he's indeed ready to join the Cosmic Force. Yoda is skeptical, of course. He's a wise individual and one of the most powerful Jedi Masters in all of the land. What can he learn from these potentially evil, shape-shifting priestesses? Now, the first trial that Yoda must face is abandoning his fear. Yoda remarks that he has long vanquished his fear, but soon we find out that Yoda's not entirely honest with himself. He does have one fear, and his greatest fear is the dark shadow within himself. Yoda immediately rejects Shadow Yoda as not a part of him, but the more he fights the darkness inside of him, the harder it fights him back. It's only when Yoda realizes that he must accept the darkness as a part of him that he passes this trial and lets go of that fear. In my opinion, this further goes to support this idea that the ancient Jedi were right. These were Force users who basically practiced both the dark side and light side of the Force within themselves and kind of found balance. Whenever they were tugged one way or another, they basically try to offset it. They were Force moderates, let's call them. The Jedi and the Sith became increasingly dogmatic and resistant against the other side of the Force, which only created more conflict and suffering for the entire galaxy. This ultimately is why the Jedi Order needed to be destroyed, alongside the Sith. Yoda at this point is finally ready to kind of get rid of the more rigid interpretation of the Force that his version of the Jedi Temple has created. He's ready to move on to the next step and perhaps leave the Jedi Temple behind. Next, Yoda must face the Valley of Extinction. Yoda is shown two visions of the future. The first one brings him to the Jedi Temple, where he finds the dead bodies of his Jedi friends. Yoda finds Ahsoka Tano barely hanging on to life. This reflects Yoda's guilt for abandoning the Padawan when she was framed for the temple bombing. The second vision brings Yoda to one of the courtyards in the Jedi Temple. He witnesses a different version of the future, without war and conflict. We see several Jedi conversing with one another, including Count Dooku. Yoda is stunned at first to see his former apprentice, but then he realizes that this version of Dooku has not gone to the dark side. There's a kindness and warmth in his eyes. This is really a beautiful scene, and it's very heartwarming to see Yoda amongst his friends in his advanced age. But he quickly realizes that the vision he's seeing is a lie, because Qui-Gon Jinn, Adi Gallia, and Tiplar are all present, and they have long passed away. The second test essentially shows us that Yoda is willing to embrace the truth no matter how painful or difficult it can be. He is an individual with a supreme amount of discipline and control of his emotions and attachments to others. At this point, the Force Priestess remove their masks, revealing that their bodies are missing. These individuals have indeed become one with the Force, just like Qui-Gon Jinn, and Yoda is finally ready for his final test. For that final test, Yoda must travel to the ancient Sith world of Morabon. That's Korriban for all of you old school Star Wars fans. The world of Morabon is devoid of life. The Sith were wiped out from this planet many millennia ago by a Jedi Republic-led genocide. Yoda must fight his way past ancient Sith spirits and eventually reaches the tomb of Darth Bane. He is the individual who started the rule of two Sith lineage. But Bane is also just an illusion. These spirits cannot hurt him. At this point, Count Dooku, through his connection to his old master, feels that Yoda is on the verge of discovering something important and notifies Darth Sidious. They decide to use Dooku's connection to Yoda to mess with him during his final trial. Meanwhile, Yoda enters a chamber in which the Sith used to sacrifice the Jedi in. It's here that he must face his last trial. He's once again confronted by an old friend. This time it's Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, who looks like he's been trapped here this entire time by the Sith. Yoda asks Sifo Dyas who the Sith Lord is, and instead Sifo Dyas demands that Yoda free him. But Yoda believes that Sifo Dyas is another temptation created by the Sith, at which point Sifo Dyas turns into Darth Sidious and transports Yoda to another vision. The Jedi Master awakens on a gunship over Coruscant. He's with Anakin and several members of the 501st Legion. They've just received word on the location of the Sith Lord working with Count Dooku and are on the way to apprehend him. When they arrive, several clones are disabled by Force lightning from the Sith. Anakin engages Dooku in a duel and successfully wounds him and then beheads him in a very familiar way. Yoda and Anakin eventually try to take down Darth Sidious together. Anakin is taken out by Force lightning, and Yoda must fight to keep Anakin from falling to his death while defending himself from Darth Sidious. Sidious suggests that Yoda let Anakin drop so that he can face him and defeat the Sith once and for all. Yoda decides instead to save Anakin, sacrificing his own life to bring Darth Sidious down. Unfortunately, as Yoda and Darth Sidious fall to the ground, Yoda is unable to reveal who the Dark Lord is. Yoda has passed his final test. He returns to Coruscant and essentially now waits until the war is over so that he can continue his training. Yoda's last trial shows us that he is a compassionate and selfless individual. Although killing Darth Sidious would have been the more logical choice, he decides to try and save Anakin and also defeat Darth Sidious at the same time, which is probably ideal for an individual who is going to find immortality and teach future generations about what being a Jedi really should be. I think this is actually one of the most important episodes in the entire Clone Wars because it really helps redefine what exactly the Force is and what the right pathway is, which I always believed was kind of like the gray middle path. And these final 3 episodes really does reinforce that. Well, let me know in the comment section below what you think about this really awesome episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of the series. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.